Welcome back to the 6-part series where we go through every single Disney Lorcana color. Today's focus is Sapphire, a color that rewards planning, resource generation, and long-term value. If you like drawing cards, having lots of ink, and outvaluing your opponent over time, then Sapphire is the color for you. That's because Sapphire is about ramping ink and protecting your characters. Sapphire excels at ramping, which means increasing your ink count by more than once per turn. Cards like Tipo, Sail the Azurite Sea, and Fishbone Quill will help you generate ink faster than your opponent. Ink is a very important resource in Disney Lorcana, and having more ink means you can play higher cost cards faster. Sapphire is one of the best card draw colors in Lorcana. Pawpsicle is an item that allows you to draw a card when played. How Far I'll Go is a song that allows you to draw a card and ramp 1 ink. Grammatala allows you to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and choose one of them to put in your hand. This means that Sapphire decks are usually very consistent because you tend to draw to what you need. Sapphire also has the most item-focused tools in the game. Items like Pawpsicle, Maurice's Workshop, and Sapphire Koi can be seen in Sapphire decks. Characters like both Tamatoas and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit have great synergy with items. So much so that there's a deck based on having lots of items and characters that sync with them. Sapphire encourages building around utility items for value engines and board control. The next strength of Sapphire is its high willpower characters. This color features characters with strong willpower, helping them to stay on the board longer. It's not uncommon to see characters with stats like 3-6 or 2-5. Having high willpower means it usually takes a lot to remove your characters. Your opponents usually have to use a high-powered action or use multiple characters to challenge. And of course, like all colors, Sapphire has their weaknesses. The first one of which is low tempo. Sapphire is a setup color. You often need a few turns to ramp, play items, and stabilize your board. That means if your opponent plays aggressively, you might fall behind before you can execute your strategy. The next weakness is its weak challenges. Sapphire generally lacks strong challenging stats. You don't see many high strength characters, and you rely more on willpower and item tricks to win trades. This can make it difficult to deal with large opposing characters without pairing with a more combat focused ink. The third weakness is its reliance on items. While item synergy is a strength, it can also be a liability. If your items get removed or you draw too many without ways to activate them, your hand can clog and slow you down. Now let's go through some of the cards that define how Sapphire is played. Fishbone Quill is one of the best ramp cards in the game. It allows you to ink every turn without needing to banish the item. The Pawpsicle Bell combo is so satisfying to pull off when you're playing a Sapphire deck. Putting down a 3-3 character on turn 1 can give you a very good hit start. Most Sapphire decks want to use Tipo or Sail the Azurite Sea on turn 2. If either card is not in your starting hand, mulligan as many cards as possible to get them. Both Tamatoas are great cards to put in your Sapphire deck. The ability to recover your items and gain lore according to the number of items in play make these two cards a great endgame closer. So how do Sapphire decks usually want to play the game? The early game is about ramping and stabilizing. Start by playing cheap ramp tools like Sail the Azurite Sea and Tipo Growing Sun. You're not trying to win fast, you're setting up for control and value. The mid game is where you develop your engines. This is where item synergies, card draw, and board stability come online. Cards like Grammatala and How Far I'll Go help you dig further into your deck. Your goal here is to outlast your opponent by developing a resource advantage, draw more cards, and generate more ink. The late game is where you outvalue and overwhelm your opponents. If you have ramped properly and drawn enough cards, Sapphire becomes unstoppable in the late game. You can afford high cost finishes, refill your hand easily, and control the board using sheer efficiency. Next, let's talk about what colors pair well with Sapphire. Ruby Sapphire is arguably the best late game combination in Disney Lorcana. Use Sapphire to ramp into Ruby's high cost cards like Dragonfire, Be Prepared, and Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. This is a great board control style deck that packs removals and finishes. Next up, Sapphire Steel, which was so good that they had to ban 2 cards that were the core of its strategy, but it still remains a good deck to use. Steel gives you strong challenges and board clearance, while Sapphire gives you draw and ramp. This is a slow and steady control deck that becomes unkillable in the late game. We also have Amethyst Sapphire, more commonly known as Blurple. It has great tempo and board control. Both colors draw a lot and together they form a tempo value machine. Use Sapphire for ramp, Amethyst for removing or freezing your opponent's characters. In conclusion, Sapphire is great for players who like to out-ink your opponents, out-draw your opponents, and out-resource your opponents. If you are playing a Sapphire deck and your opponent isn't, you usually end up having a lot more ink than them. So if you are someone who likes to slowly build up your lead, build up your resources, and finish in the late game, then Sapphire is the color for you. Let me know what you feel about Sapphire and what color will you pair it up with. With that, thank you for coming to the end of this video. Sending you lots of love. I'll see you in the next one.